Good afternoon, students. My name is Lenny Halim, and today I will talk about part of green industry. Our topic will discuss about wastewater treatment. You see, when you work in industry and you want to take participation in government program named POPER, and your company want to take good grade, you have to treat your wastewater. And today, this is just a brief explanation about wastewater treatment. If you want to know better, you can read the book here in Metcalf and Eddy. I use the fourth edition, but you can use any edition you get. And actually, in this book is very complete explanation about everything in treating and using water and wastewater. And now, for the first topic I will use is about background and purpose. Why we have to treat our wastewater. As you see that in industrial we have input and then we have production process and there's output from our process. One of the important input in industry is water. As you know, you can name all industry, whether it's electronics or of course textile. Textile we use many water to wash the clothes and etc. And also about motorcycle industry, they also need water. Especially for the chemical industry, we use water for utility, for example, for boiler, and also for mining industry. As you know that the coal mining needs water to wash down the coal that has been mined from the earth. And from all the production process, the utility process, and also the activity from the office, will generate wastewater. And there's two reasons why we have to treat our wastewater. The first one is moral reason. Moral reason is based on with the thought that the next generation have the same right to get the clean water as we enjoy right now. And also about the environment and health consideration. If you know that when the wastewater discharged to the environment without any treatment, it will affect the health of the society around and also the environment around the discharge point. And the second one, and this is the most important thing, is the legal aspect. We have regulation and law. For example, Act number 32, 2009 concerning about environmental protection and management. And we have also government regulation number 5, 2014 about standard quality of wastewater effluent. And here I will show you some of the standard quality. There are many standard quality for different industry, and each of them will depends on the industry. Usually you have about national standard and also regional standard, national standard and regional standard. And usually we follow the strictest one. So for example, if the national standard, you have to discharge the wastewater which pH 7. Meanwhile, for example, in regulation, the regional standard only 6. You follow the strictest one, that is 7. And from the regulation, there are some terminology. Maybe it's very new for you. The first one is pH. Actually, all of the terminology related to the quality parameter in wastewater itself. For example, pH, you know that pH is the content of hydrogen ion in water, and it will measure the acidity and the alkalinity of the wastewater. And also there is BOD, or biological oxygen demand. It is the measure of oxygen that will be consumed in all organics of 1 liter sample will oxidize by protozoa. That means how many oxygen that will be needed by a bacteria or protozoa to degrade organic content in your wastewater. And also we have chemical oxygen demand. Chemical oxygen demand is total amount of oxidizable organics whether it's biodegradable or non-biodegradable here. And usually in laboratory tests, we use like a strong oxidator like potassium dichromate or potassium permanganate to measure the content of chemical oxygen demand. And the last one is total suspended solid. It is a particle larger than 2 microns found in the water. If you know that there are many quality parameter quality in wastewater, not only restricted to these four, but for introduction, I will mention about these four because this is the most common characteristic that you will see in every industry. Okay, next, the purpose. The purpose itself to treating wastewater, the first one, and this is the application in Indonesia to comply the government regulation. You see that environmental issue is not very like big issue nowadays, but it growing what do you call it? It's growing better and better each day because it also can be used as a good tool for your marketing. You see that when we want to do some international trade, usually the Europe or America, they're very concerned about the environment and they will not accept the product that not environmental friendly. So the first one is comply government regulation, but you can also use it as a tools of marketing to improve your marketing of your product. And the second one is to reuse the treated water. It can be also economic value because you can save some amount of the expense that you will have to pay to do some production or to support your production. And the second one, I will give you a brief explanation about wastewater treatment. Actually, for wastewater treatment, there are it very depends on the characteristic of your wastewater. For example, if your industry is textile industry, it will be very different characteristic with, for example, tempe industry. But in general, there are three types of the wastewater treatment. The first one is primary treatment. In primary treatment, we only do some mechanics treatment without addition of chemical. For example, in primary treatment, there are sedimentation, also screening, and also filtration or flotation. And then chemical treatment, we add some chemical here. Usually chemical treatment is quite popular because it can reduce the amount of COD or BOD, if you remember. The first time I say about biological oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand, it can reduce it rapidly, but there are some, disadvantage for this treatment too, and I will discuss about it later. And the last one is biological treatment, where we use the biochemical reaction using microorganism here. And if you compare between chemical and biological treatment, chemical can reduce the organic contaminant very quick, but also you will need to spend some amount of money to buy the chemical, so it usually high cost, and you know that the sludge that produced by the chemical treatment is considered as in Indonesia we call limbah B3, or the terminology I think about this toxic waste here, toxic and hazardous waste that need more treatment by another party. But for biological treatment, it is cheaper, but because you know that it is done by microorganisms, so you cannot trust the microorganism to reduce the organic content, so it's quite. But there are some now technology that make the treatment faster than before. For general steps, I have to mention that this is only general steps, but as I said before, the steps of wastewater treatment will depend on the type and characteristic of your wastewater. The first one is pre-treatment, and then continued by primary treatment, secondary treatment, tertiary treatment, and the last one is disinfection. And this is the first one, the pre-treatment. The pre-treatment you can divide for example, by screening. There are many types of screen. What I show you here in the slide is the simplest screen using grid. But actually, there are many types of screen. Depends on what you need in your industry. And the second example is grease trap. Usually we use it for the wastewater from the kitchen because the wastewater contain oil and it will affect the treatment, whether it's biological or also chemical treatment. And next, for primary treatment, there are neutralization and coagulation, flocculation, and sedimentation. Neutralization is, as its name, that means you make the pH of the wastewater to become neutral. Some of the process of your industry, for example, when you produce nata de coco, the wastewater will become very acid. It may be about pH 3 or 4, and to treat your wastewater, you need to neutralize it so it won't disturb your next treatment. And for coagulation and flocculation, by adding some coagulant and flocculant, the difference in between these two is the first one, you need how speed is the your, what do you call it, the mixing, and also for the flocculation, usually they don't use rapid mixing, only slow, and the organic content or the pollutant will become like air flock, and then will be sedimented, and you get the cleaner wastewater. And the last one is sedimentation. Usually the process of coagulation and flocculation will be followed by the sedimentation process. And next, I will tell you about secondary treatment. Usually in secondary treatment, we use biological treatment using bacteria. And there are two types of secondary treatment. The first one is aerob and the second one is anaerob. For aerob, as its name, aerob, we use oxygen to help the bacteria to reduce the content of organic content in your wastewater. And for anaerob, you also use bacteria, but the different type of bacteria, because the bacteria here does not need any oxygen. There are plus and minus advantage and disadvantage of these two treatment. For anaerob, it's cheaper, but because you need energy to aerate the lagoon or the wastewater, then you also need more land, because the reproduction of aerob is very fast if we compare them with the anaerob bacteria. For anaerob, usually it is suitable for the high organic content wastewater, but the problem when the application is industry is quite hard to maintain the condition to be no oxygen there, because we deal with gas, and also when you have to put your digester or your your reactor there without any small hole or something that will make the oxygen come to the digester. I'm sorry. And then, but the great point of the anaerob is it will generate energy. We know that it will generate methane as energy, and you can use methane as fuel, which is will give some advantage and will come profit to your company. And next, there is tertiary treatment. Usually, if we want to remove some specific pollutants, for example, iron and also manganese, also ammonia, chrome, and etc., we use this treatment. Usually, we done it by filtration. There are many types of filter. You can use sand slow filter, or you can use another media, for example, zeolite or organic. I'm sorry, activated carbon, and also there's anion and cation. Usually, if you use anion and cation, we want to get some ultra pure water, and we can blend it by membrane. There are many types of membrane, from micro filtration, and then what is nanofiltration, and the if you familiar with this terminology, the reverse osmosis, the membrane pore is very small that we can generate water without any mineral content from the reverse osmosis. And the last one is about disinfection. Actually, this is quite bit tentative. Not every plant will have the disinfection phase, but if you want to treat water, it is the complementary step because you have to remove the bacteria from your water. Usually, disinfection we can do it by adding some chlorine, uh, or maybe in Indonesia you know it about chlorine. We add some chlorine, and also there's some filtration by using ozone and also ultraviolet. Okay, this is very brief explanation about wastewater treatment. If you want to know more, you can read the book or you can consult with me.